not provide them, I told them, okay, I'm going to put it on the agenda for Tuesday night, and we'll see what happens.
So I think the difference is the League of Cities and Towns uses a broker. The broker works with Constellation. So they can get prices, they're a broker for Constellation. They can get prices daily from Constellation. Silent Sherpa goes through competitive bidding, and they actually place bids. So that's why they can't get prices daily. They have to go through the bidding process.
So they can't call up the company and say, listen, we've already bid this, can you give me some updated pricing so I can get this contract signed? Or is it impossible to get a contract? Because if the contract is only valid for, the bid is only valid for that one day, that's what I was told, and an emergency that I have to sign it, so in my opinion, was not an emergency. So how do these things work if that's doesn't
My
work?
understanding that they go out to bid weekly, and they had, there were 3 other districts that they were going out to bid for last week.
You sure that wasn't next month?
Now, the contract was going to be effective in September, but they were going out last week.
Okay. So, you want to, and nobody has any objection to going with this contract? I'll entertain a motion to approve my signing substantially similar to the contract that was provided to you in the package. Constellation.
Yeah, so.
Motion's been made. Second. Roll call. Please.
Mr. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sharp? Yes. Mr. Connell?
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Johannes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Vada? Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Let's go to auto renew contracts. I think we discussed this in deep, but again, you know, and let me be clear. I didn't get a specific opinion from the solicitor, but I think that he substantially agrees with renewal of automatic renewal contracts is invalid. So, and we can ask for an official opinion, but.
Could I get clarification about auto renewal? It's not, like you talked about Infinite Campus, right? That's not really an auto renewal. That is, first of all, you get yourself into, say, a 3-year agreement. If you do this over 3 years, that will cut down the cost over those 3 years.
Typically, yes.
And so is that what you're considering an auto renewal?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. 'Cause I
So
feel like
if
we're
there
talking
is
about
a
it different
contract
ways.
that's signed for 3 years with an option to go forward for 3 years, and we vote on it to renew it for 3 years, that's fine. If we don't act after the 3 years, and it automatically renews indefinitely.
At the
then-
price that was originally stated.
No, it doesn't have to be. They can adjust the
They can
price.
adjust the price without coming to the committee.
Well, it's auto renewal. So who's monitoring that? Go ahead.
I think we're struggling with the definition of annual contracts and ongoing services versus auto renewal. The energy contract that you mentioned, yes, absolutely. A lot of the software contracts for support and maintenance and updates, these are things that we cannot on a yearly basis go out for bid and switch to other systems. You know, we will do it periodically.
Did we have a meeting on this?
We did.
Was I unclear at the meeting?
Well, I'm not sure right now.
Okay.
So it's because I'm sensing some uncertainty here. So I think I'm.
So let me explain to you what,
Go ahead.
because this is what at least I thought I said in the meeting. First of all, anytime there's a contract in place, I would ask that this committee vote on it.
Mhm.
Okay. So if it's a maintenance agreement, let's use I thought, again, the maintenance agreement for the elevators, which would be in violation of state law if we didn't do it, would come to us before that year with a request to sign the contract. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Silent Serpent, who has not come before this contract, come before this committee.
Right.
And we keep paying them on a
Right.
contract
Right.
that, in my opinion, has expired. Automatic renewal, when we don't take action, is, in my opinion, an invalid contract after the first term.
Right.
I mean, we bid it out for 3 years or whatever it was. Once you automatically renew, it's a violation, in my opinion, of at least court cases in there. And I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong.
Right.
I might have even signed them. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, I would rather have this committee vote on any contract that we have.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
And
all I'm asking for.
what you have on this list doesn't necessarily fit your definition. You know, these are annual contracts that we do re-sign every year that are included in the consent agenda. Now, we could provide certainly more detail, with questions. Like, for example, the student information system, there's an annual support contract. We do re-sign that every year. There are sometimes adjustments in pricing. 2 years ago, we changed our support structure and actually reduced the price considerably. So we do every year reassess and renew when it does go before this committee.
Okay, then there's no problem. But why are we still following the 2012 contract?
I'm not aware of any other one that meets that description, so.
But when we initially met, there was a list that I asked you to bring. Any contract that goes forward, I asked you to bring forward. That's all. And so the Silent Serpent one, or whatever it is automatically renewed. I asked you to bring any of those forward so that we could vote on it.
Right.
Maybe the committee does want to renew it. I don't know. But I want them to vote on it. That's all I'm asking for. So any contract that is more than 3 years old or more than its initial term should be voted on by this committee.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think we're on the same page. Is that unclear? I mean, okay, let's move to auto renewal of contracts and agreements. Would you provide a list of the auto renewal contracts, or we're just going to make a general statement to the committee?
So there is a list in the packet. I did not include Silent Sherbert in that list because of our conversations.
Okay, why not? Why was Silent Sherbert not included?
It was my understanding that we were to try to terminate that contract with Silent Sherbert.
So are you doing that, or are we doing that?
Well, we're working with the attorney, our attorney contacted him.
Okay.
These are the ones that we're going to be approving to continue, so.
These are the ones that have auto renewal language in them. Sometimes they will need like a purchase order to confirm it, or in the case of like CPS therapy, Ready Nurses, actually an agreement that we sign each year. But the contracts have auto renewal language in them.
Okay. So if I may, and maybe it'll be up to the committee, any auto renewal in any contract that we have shouldn't be there. You should bring, again, I'm not talking about every year. I'm talking about at the end of the contract. So if it's 3 years or whatever term it is, it doesn't automatically renew. But we have the authority to extend it for 3 years, 1 year, whatever the committee wants to do. But there shouldn't be any auto renewals. I think that this committee is responsible for the contract and should vote on it. So, are you looking for on these, a motion to approve these contracts?
Yeah, I would look for a motion to continue them. Some of them are sole source.
I'm thoroughly confused, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just have a question on this list. I'm assuming this, if I understand, Mark has said, this is a list of all the order renewal contracts. Now, I'm guessing that, I believe most of you probably have, you have to opt out like maybe so many days before they expire, right? So not all these are expiring right now. This is all of them, so they're not all expiring right now, correct?
Correct.
Which one, like, so I think the question would be, among this group, are there any that we have to, we're looking at that window where we're gonna get in with that and say 60 days it automatically renews, on that edge, or the edge of the end of the contract? Because those are the ones we really would have to worry about right at the moment. Am I correct? I mean, in other words, if one of these is renewing next year, we don't have to worry about that right now. But if it's gonna renew in 2 months, and the window is 60 days, we're on the edge, and those are what we have to worry about. So I guess what I'm saying is, am I being clear? Perhaps I'm not being clear. Which ones are
I
tied?
think you are. I mean, yeah, no, you are, but let me, if you mind if I just interject? If I were to entertain a motion to approve these contracts for whatever period, whatever the required time is, subject to striking out any automatic renewal language and reject any contracts that are not before us that have auto renewal language of more than the initial term. Does that make sense?
It does. We have to go back to them to get,
Right, so on the renewal, you're going to say, I will send the renewal over, I don't know if you sign it or I sign it, and you just put subject, next is subject to approval by the, I mean, it's always a subject to approval by us. So some of these, that's why I'm saying, you can't have auto renew contracts, because what happens if the money's not available?
Lisa, I think what would be helpful if we had another column telling us when, the timeline, when the particular contract was due to terminate, expire.
And when we have to, how many days in advance we have to opt out for them?
Yeah, but I
But
don't,
on the administration's defense, you're looking at these, I've seen these in our packets. When they've, especially the ready nurse, because I remember having a conversation with you on that. So when you did renew, they changed their, because I know every year they change their pricing. They do come, there is a form that you're signing that does come to us.
some of them, not all.
Okay, so let's just,
So maybe the ones that,
so I'll entertain, did you get that motion?
And if it's full providers,
Don't worry about it.
that's a whole other ballpark.
I got this approval subject to strike through of auto renewal language.
the student information system and the financial system, we can't operate without that, so. I mean,
What do you mean we can't operate without that?
well, if they shut us down on June 30th, we don't have a financial savings system, and we don't
So it's a
have.
requirement by RIDE to use that company.
RIDE went out to bid for them initially, and they gave us choices. And we,
Right.
So maybe the community doesn't want to use that company. Well, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying I want to support these, but it's our decision to support them or make changes. That's all I'm saying. So if we say, listen, we can't afford the elevator maintenance, that's our call. Might be irresponsible, and I'm not saying to do that, but again, you're trying to argue things that we agree with, but it's our authority. That's all I'm saying. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the auto renewal contracts that were presented to us, striking out any automatic renewal terms, and rejecting any contracts that are not presented beyond the original term that have auto renewals.
I'll second.
Nobody made a motion. Do I make that motion?
Can I I just do a quick discussion on this?
Yeah, can I
Let me make the motion. I made the
I'll make the
motion.
motion. I'll make the motion.
Motion, second. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, discussion.
Yes.
So, appreciating that you just made the motion in a second, I'm actually more in favor of continuing this for our next
I was
session.
just gonna say that.
Because I feel like there is
We need more.
disagreement on both sides here as to exactly what the scope is of non-renewals versus renewals. And I think that both sides here should come back together and just make sure that we're all on the same page as to exactly what it is we're trying to accomplish. Because I feel like the administration side is seeing this in one way, and I feel like we're seeing this in another way. And rather than just jump to doing the vote tonight, I think it would make a lot more sense to say, okay, where did we drop the thread here? And what exact contracts we look at, when are we due to vote on them, when are they due to expire, like Mr. Shrest said,
Column for the terms.
call them for the terms, and then which ones are sole source that we would have very much difficulty in addressing. Not so that we couldn't address them, but what's our date that we start considering these contracts? So if it's 6 months out before the termination date, 3 months out, we should have all of our choices in front of us. So I just think that a better strategy is in need here. So I recommend rescinding the motion, but if you want to go forward, then I understand. But I'd really like to continue this to next time.
Let me just ask one more question. Is any of these pressing? Are any of these pressing, Lisa?
I don't know off the top of my head when the termination dates are on, I might have to go through the contracts. Some of them may have already rolled.
Well, we did CBS therapy tonight, we did Ready Nurse tonight.
Okay, so just, I mean, I am supporting the administration's position, except striking out the automatic renewal language. And if the contract's not here, then it's terminated, or it's not approved. And if they want to bring it back someday in the future and have it approved, I'm okay with that.
I think we're not giving our administration enough cooperation to know what we need and what we don't need, when we need it and when we don't need it, for them to come to us. I'm not going to support them.
Okay, that's fine. So, I mean, I have no problem withdrawing my motion. I mean, do you want to continue this matter?
Personally, I don't think we need to continue. I think it's a job of the administration to know what we need and when we need it, and if it's an emergency or not. I think we're talking for nothing. I think we need to do what we need to do.
Okay.
There is a logistic portion of this.
I get it, but for years, we haven't had a problem doing it this way, and all of a sudden it's a problem.
Well, no, go ahead.
Again, what I'm saying is, I'm fully supporting these contracts. All I'm
But
saying
you're not.
What I'm saying is, I don't support auto renewals. How, now, down the road, we're giving another school committee coming in an automatic contract that they may or may not want. So all I'm asking for is that the school committee vote on it. That's all I'm asking for.
But I think, Jim, there's always an out. There's always an out. There may be a penalty,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's always an
I
out.
mean, I don't know about that. One of the contracts I was dealing with when I was working, the last time I was an executive director for one of these assisted living buildings, I had an auto-renew contract with a vendor, and there really was no out, short of getting involved with litigation. And maybe that's not a road that's available in any of these contracts, but just the risk and the cost that will go into that is enough to give me pause. I don't think that we're not giving the administration support, but I do think that there is no harm in looking back at some of the ways we've been doing our processes over the past couple of years and saying, is there a way we can do this better? Is there a way we can streamline some things better? And are there any ways that we can fill in gaps that we may not have been aware of beforehand? And I think that's what this is all about. But I also do think that this is exactly why I think we should continue this, because I think there's a lot more communication that should be had about it.
I'll withdraw my motion. Wait a second.
Yes. Okay. That's you. Comment on that?
Absolutely.
I think that what might be internally. And I'll ask the contractor if it's going to be a problem or not, but I assume that it would be too hard, tell me if I'm wrong, to get the list and show us when these expire, when we have to, how far to make it opt out. If we had that list, maybe it could be sent to us and we would see if there's anything coming up that we're worried about, and we have that before the next, kind of have that before the next meeting, so we can kind of, anybody can red flag something if they feel there's a need to red flag something. Otherwise, they just would come up when they, otherwise they just diary it, but when they expire, we'll look at each one when they expire, as they're about to expire. And we'll deal with, take it out, we can discuss taking out the automatic renewal language. It's like you said, if we try to do that, and they have these extended contracts, it's going to be a little bit, there'll be some back and forth with them probably, just like with some of the companies we deal with earlier tonight. So we've got to give that leeway. You can't just say, well, we just want this contract, but we want it out. They're going to say, oh, well, go somewhere else or something. You know what I mean? We might get that, obviously, we might get that. So we have to kind of give ourselves a little bit of lead time. That's why if these would give us that, if the department would give us that information, try to deal with it better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You should have the information. You should also have information on what we do behind the scenes every time we survey the landscape to see if there's a better solution. I do have, like, for example, with Infinite Campus, our student information system, they're the second largest vendor in the country. I don't know how open they will be to one of the smallest districts in the smallest state going back to them and saying, we need you to change this language and strike out these 3 lines. So that's one of my concerns going forward. But I absolutely do agree that you should have this information and to know what we're doing to keep the